This is very much the end of a legacy. This is the end of kings being buried in the Valley of the Kings, but it's also the start of something new, of continued royal burial that really ends with Cleopatra.
Did Cleopatra really have the looks that inspired empires, or is it just legends who paint Cleopatra as breathtakingly beautiful? There might be a possibility that history could be wrong, so let's reveal the truth about her appearance and dive deep into some of the most interesting archaeological discoveries ever made.
I'm just really excited and touched. It's something that really important, precious, something very precious I try to hide there. So I think this is the final stage of my search.
Cleopatra's tomb remains undiscovered, which captivates many researchers as well as archaeologists to locate the lost tomb of Cleopatra. An archaeologist, Kathleen, has dedicated nearly 2 decades to this search, believing that her tomb lies beneath the temple of Isis at Osiris Magna, about 45 minutes west of Alexandria. In 2022, she announced the discovery of a tunnel beneath the temple.
That the temple was maybe the most important religious center for Isis in the north. And the thing we know about Queen Cleopatra is that she was buried in a temple of Isis,
which she speculated might have been used to transport Cleopatra's body. However, despite her numerous attempts, she has yet to uncover the elusive tomb. The search continues, with interest in Cleopatra's final resting place undiminished, as archaeologists persist in their efforts to solve this enduring mystery.
I'm just really excited and touched. It's something that really important, precious, something very precious I try to hide there. So I think this is the final stage of my search.
Jewelry with King Tutankhamun.
People romantically call Tutankhamun the boy king, and that's because he came to the throne when he was 9.5, but he died when he was about 19, and by the age of 14 in ancient Egypt you were a man. So really, it's more of a romantic myth calling him the boy king, because he really was a proper, truly grown-up king.
One of the youngest pharaohs in Egypt, Tutankhamun, had his tomb discovered by Howard Carter and his benefactor, Lord Carnarvon. This remarkable find was hidden beneath the desert sands for over 3,000 years. Inside his burial chamber, at least 5,000 objects were discovered, including treasures, solid gold artifacts, furniture, and personal belongings such as jewelry. All these items are now preserved in a climate-controlled room at the museum.
There is so much material in the tomb of Tutankhamun. It's really a bit like an attic where, people's mothers have put all of their bits and pieces so that they have their memories, they have their entire life.
Tutankhamun is often referred to as the puppet ruler because he ascended to the throne at a young age and died at just 19. Interestingly, a dagger was found on his body in the tomb, suggesting that he was not merely a puppet, but, like other rulers, was hungry for power. Pharaoh Susen is the one. The silver sarcophagus of Pharaoh Susen I was discovered by Claude Monet, a French painter. Although the coffin was primarily silver, it was adorned with gold and a solid gold mask, making it one of the most extraordinary sarcophagi in Egypt. Susen I ruled for an impressive 46 years from Tanis, making him one of the longest reigning pharaohs in Egyptian history. His tomb contained numerous valuable items, including bracelets, rings, and pectorals made from gold, silver, and precious stones. This discovery is considered one of the greatest finds in archaeology. However, it remains underappreciated due to historical circumstances, particularly because World War II was occurring at that time. Mysterious mummy.
This is at KV 55 in the Valley of the Kings, away from the public eye. Most Egyptologists and archaeologists are baffled and have a lot of questions. Very little is known about this tomb. Let's get in.
In 1907, archaeologists discovered the mysterious tomb KV 55 in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. The tomb contained a single skeleton and artifacts linked to various individuals, including Queen Tai and Pharaoh Akhenaten. Initial studies suggested the remains might be female, but later tests identified them as male, possibly Akhenaten himself. By 2010, DNA analysis confirmed the remains likely belonged to Akhenaten, father of Tutankhamun and Egypt's heretic king, who introduced monotheism. His radical religious reforms may have led to his hasty, isolated burial, leaving behind a complex legacy still debated by historians and scientists alike. Tomb of Maya.
Dit is Maya, dat is de man. Merit is de vrouw. Vrouwen worden eigenlijk typisch altijd net ietsje kleiner uitgebeeld. En daar zitten ze samen. En daar is dan wel even groot als...
The statue of Maya, treasurer of Tutankhamun, and his wife Merit on display. Maya was the treasurer of King Tutankhamun, and the tomb of the treasurer is still preserved very well to this day. The archaeologists have excavated the statue of Maya and Merit, the wife of King Tut, sitting together on the chair. This shows the treasurer had a high statue. Although her tomb is really old, but hieroglyphics and paintings are still visible on the walls, and since it's very famous, people often visit here to capture the ancient art. Tomb of Kooi. Archaeologists have uncovered a year-old tomb belonging to Kooi, an ancient Egyptian nobleman potentially related to the ruling pharaoh. The tomb, dating back to the 5th dynasty, features exceptionally well-preserved artwork and artifacts, including Kooi's mummified remains and canopic jars for bodily organs. Its unique architecture includes an L-shaped structure and a corridor leading to a chamber adorned with colorful paintings depicting Kooi receiving offerings. These elaborate features suggest Kooi's importance and a close relationship with the pharaoh, with theories proposing they may have been related or that the tomb's design reflects significant religious reforms of the era. 1,000 mummies discovered.
We found until now, we excavated only 4 tombs, but we found on them 105 mummies. Some of it covered with gold and beautiful scenes, others covered with linen, and some mummies inside pottery coffin.
Archaeologists discovered a Greco-Roman burial ground in western Egypt. Researchers found thousands of mummies within the cave. The mummies include some of the wealthy and powerful people who lived 2,000 years ago. This section of Egypt's western desert has been renamed Valley of the Mummies. There were in total 10,000 mummies. 50 mummies were found in each of the 4 rooms. Some of them were adorned with gold, and others were covered with plaster or resting in pottery coffins. Valley of Golden Mummies.
We discovered the tomb of Wahdi with 65 statues carved out of the mountain.
In the Valley of Golden Mummies, archaeologists uncovered 250 coffins with mummies and bronze statues in a cemetery south of the Giza pyramids. The find includes ancient Egyptian coffins dating back approximately 2,500 years, alongside numerous bronze statues of deities which they buried inside their coffins. Even a sealed papyrus was discovered within the wooden sarcophagus that was immediately sent to the museum for its sterilization and study. It is believed that the book is known as the Book of the Dead, and this unique and ancient book is well preserved now.
We discovered what we call the cache of 150 bronze statues for different gods and goddesses.
Things Hetephera's tomb. In 1925, an expedition led by George Reisner uncovered a hidden burial shaft at Giza, which revealed an unfinished chamber filled with deteriorated treasures belonging to Queen Hetepheres, wife of King Sneferu and mother of King Kufu. Despite the wealth of artifacts, her alabaster sarcophagus was found empty, raising questions about the location of her body. Theories suggest she may have been buried elsewhere or moved, while the only remains discovered were her internal organs, preserved in a canopic chest. Tomb of Seti.
He was the most well-mummified person from ancient Egypt that I've ever looked at.
Seti I, the father of Ramesses the Great, is known for having one of the finest mummifications in ancient Egypt. The mummification process involved the removal of the brain and organs except for the heart, drying the body with natron, and wrapping it in linen with protective spells. Remarkably, Seti's mummy is well preserved and appears youthful, despite being over 3,000 years old. Professor Sahar Salim points out that ancient Egyptians employed techniques akin to plastic surgery.
The ancient Egyptians were very efficient as plastic surgeons.
Using feathers for cosmetic enhancement around the face. This beautification was crucial to ensure that Seti's mummy was in optimal condition for his journey to the afterlife, where he would inhabit a stunning eternal home.
They actually placed feathers around the nose and the mouth in this region, in the cheeks, and even in the temporal.
Mummy of Hatshepsut. The warrior pharaoh Queen Hatshepsut's mummy was discovered in 1903 in the tomb of KV 60 in the Valleys of Kings, Egypt. Since then, her magnificent mummies have been well preserved in a museum. Archaeologists desperately wanted to rebuild her temple, and during that, they excavated many ancient artifacts like pieces of sphinx, a mini sphinx, and even a mask from ancient Egyptian times, as well as the preserved bones under the rubble.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Egyptian artifacts.
An exhibition of Egyptian artifacts discovered in ancient cities buried underwater has opened to the public in Paris.
Egyptian artifacts that were found underwater are now on display in Paris. These items include beautiful statues, jewelry, and pottery from ancient Egypt. They were discovered during underwater excavations, which shows how the past is connected to the present. This exhibition highlights the history of these artifacts and their significance in Egyptian culture. Visitors can learn about the stories behind these treasures and see how they were made. The display aims to share the rich heritage of Egypt with people around the world. King Tut's grandmother.
Do you think that could give us any genetic clues as to what Tutankhamun looked like?
I think that would be quite possible, especially because they've got the same sort of teeth sticking out a bit. What's really extraordinary is that she's not born royal. There's a lot of social mobility. I mean, she starts off quite common, just as a priestess, and then she's in this splendid tomb with all of this gold and stuff.
King Tut's grandmother was a royal, and her mummy is very well preserved in the museum. Researchers went to explore her mummy, they opened her case, and a well-preserved mummy with blonde hair came out. But they weren't sure if she was actually blonde or not, because to preserve the mummy, they use a chemical called natron that has a bleaching agent in it. They also identified that she had a buck tooth, just like his grandson, Tutankhamun. Even the DNA results confirm that she is the grandmother of King Tut. Tomb of Goldsmith.
A new private tomb of the 18th dynasty. The owner is a goldsmith who lived during the 15th century BC.
Egyptian archaeologists have discovered the tomb of a goldsmith who lived more than 3,000 years ago. It was not only his burial site, it also had mummies of his wife and son.
And as you see behind me, it's the statue of the owner of Seti of the tomb and his wife and one of their sons.
They also found many funerary equipment inside and outside the tomb. They found mummies, coffins, jewelry, and pottery. The team is still working to find more objects from the burial site. Let's wait and see what they unearth from the sands of Nile city of Luxor. Gazelle mummy. The gazelle mummy is one of the best preserved animal mummies from ancient Egypt. This gazelle was a pet of an Egyptian queen, and its preservation shows the significance Egyptians placed on animals. The gazelle was mummified with the same care as human royals. This demonstrated the high value placed on cherished animals in Egyptian society. The gazelle mummy serves as a fascinating example of how animal mummification extended beyond deities and into personal connections within ancient Egyptian life. Lady Rai. Lady Rai is one of the oldest mummies in ancient Egypt. Her mummified remains were discovered in a Theban tomb in 1881, and it is estimated that she was about 40 years old. She lived around 1530 BC and was a nursemaid to an Egyptian queen. Her mummy is remarkable for the preservation of her hair, which remains almost intact despite being thousands of years old, appearing as if it could have grown just months ago. This mummy is one of the well-preserved mummies from ancient Egypt. Chinchorro mummies. The Chinchorro mummies were unearthed in northern Chile and southern Peru. It is recognized as the oldest examples of artificial mummification, dating as far back as 7020 BC. Unlike many ancient cultures, which reserved mummification for elite members, the Chinchorro mummified people of all ages and social classes, including infants and adults. This indicates the cultural and spiritual importance attached to mummification. Their bodies were painted with red or black pigment. These mummies provide us a glimpse into the ancient world. Fayum portraits. Fayum mummy portraits are realistic paintings placed on ancient Egyptian mummies' faces, mostly used from the 1st century BC to the 3rd century AD, especially in the Fayum region. After Alexander the Great's conquest, Greek settlers brought their culture, blending with Egyptian beliefs. This fusion created new gods and unique art, with Fayum portraits showing Roman hairstyles, clothing, and expressions. These lifelike images capture farewell emotions and are thought to comfort the loved ones left behind. Most portraits show wealthy individuals, with some of the finest examples now displayed in museums worldwide, preserving their memory. Tomb of Queen Nefertari. After years of investigating whether Queen Nefertiti's tomb is hidden near King Tutankhamun's burial site, recent radar scans show possible hidden rooms around his tomb, which gave them hope to search. They found mummies in there, but they didn't belong to Queen Nefertiti. But her tomb is beautifully preserved to this day in the Egypt Valley of the Queens. They are decorated with vibrant colors, intricate hieroglyphs, and detailed scenes of Nefertari's journey to the afterlife. The walls show the queen's connections with various deities, which symbolizes her status. But the search for her lost mummy continues, keeping alive the mystery of one of Egypt's most famous queens. Egyptian tomb discovered.
بس مش عارف هل هو دي مراته
بس ده مش منظر
كل ده منطقة.
Year-old tomb was found in Saqqara, Egypt, which is famous for its ancient burial sites. The tomb is special because it is untouched, meaning no one has disturbed it since it was sealed long ago. Inside the place, archaeologists discovered pottery and other items that give clues about the customs of ancient Egyptians. This tomb dates back to the 5th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, a time known for great achievements in art and architecture. Ongoing excavations aim to learn more about the tomb's owner and the burial traditions of that era.
ده بعد الذبح هنا شايل الفخذة بتاعت العجلة.
Egyptian portrait. Archaeologist Bassem Gehad uncovers a broken but beautiful mummy portrait in Egypt. The painting was created with a wax technique by Greek artists and shows a Greek woman from Cleopatra's time with lifelike details, including an emerald necklace and purple tunic. Egyptians use these portraits to remember loved ones after death, placing them over faces before mummifying the bodies. Although damaged by tomb robbers, this portrait is a rare treasure. The find reveals how Greeks were influenced by Cleopatra, adopting Egyptian customs and burial practices, blending their cultures in art and traditions to create a strong, multicultural society. Black sarcophagus.
Speculation, archaeologists in Egypt have unsealed a massive black sarcophagus.
Archaeologists in Egypt opened a huge black sarcophagus found in Alexandria. As soon as they found it, rumors started sparking, saying that it might contain the remains of Alexander the Great or unleash a deadly curse. The sarcophagus was made of black granite and weighed over 30 tons. It is the largest ever found in Alexandria. When they opened it, it revealed 3 skeletons and a foul-smelling red liquid. But Egypt's Antiquities Ministry confirmed it did not belong to Alexander and had no royal markings. The true identity of those inside remains a mystery, and the search for Alexander's resting place. Ancient Egyptian Zoo.
So here, in essence, we have the world's first zoo. This dates back over 6,000 years ago. This is before even the invention of writing, before the invention of the potter's wheel.
A team led by Renee discovered an ancient cemetery that may be the world's first zoo, dating back over 6,000 years before writing and pyramids. They found wild animals like leopards and crocodiles, buried with early Egyptian rulers, showing their importance in religion. Carbon dating revealed these animals were buried at the same time, likely to accompany their rulers in the afterlife. The burial site also included humans, including women and children. This was a disturbing practice during royal funerals. The complex was grand, with animals arranged around the human burials for protection.
So you have the main tomb in the center, which you can see over there. Then you have the human burials, which will be laid out all around, and then surrounding that were all the animals, forming it like a belt of protection.
Mummified crocodiles. This got to be one of the strangest discoveries of ancient Egypt. 10-foot-long Egyptian mummified crocodile, within which 47 mummified baby crocodile remains were stuffed inside them. This strange discovery was a big surprise for the museum workers as well, because they discovered it in 2016, and they were excavated back in 1895 and displayed after 75 years of excavation in the British Museum. Although there were many reasons for the preservation of crocodiles, but one of them was to gain favor from the gods and goddesses of crocodiles in the afterlife. Mummified cat.
The priests of this temple, they made like a business to sell the small statues, amulets. So they used all these tombs as storerooms to keep the mummified cats, because the priests in this time mummified the cats by millions.
While digging the sands of Egypt, archaeologists uncovered small-sized mummies that appeared to be the mummies of cats. Cats were regarded as sacred animals in ancient Egypt because they were the representative of one of their deities. They are believed to protect the souls of the dead. Some used to mummify them because they wanted to take their pets with them in the afterlife. Unfortunately, some of those mummies were declared fake during the excavation, because there's a possibility that the guides faked those mummies to cash on some unsuspecting tourists.
Egypt, there was this strange concept. Once you write something, it's there. So imagine if somebody could not afford a mummy. What are they gonna do? They're going to create something that could look like a mummy, much cheaper, much easier, and then offer it. You write on it and it's a mummy.
Mummified toads. In 2017, Jerusalem excavators uncovered a jar that contained headless toads within the... This was believed to be a snack for the deceased one on their journey to the afterlife. The decapitated toads were the common food source, with their heads removed to eliminate their toxic skins. There were in total 9 toads in the pot. This ancient pot also displayed intact pottery style. This is a known old funerary practice of the Middle Bronze Age in Israel. Snacks in Tutankhamun.
And Tutankhamun was a teenage boy, so clearly he wanted to be well supplied. And so he had bread, he had wine, he had pomegranates, little green onions, and garlic.
Ancient Egyptians believed that passing away was the extension of life, so naturally they made sure they were fully stocked for the afterlife. That's why Tut's tomb was filled with preserved foods like dates, meat, and poultry, so Tut could munch on his favorite snack for eternity. And if you're planning to rule the afterlife, you can't be going hungry, right? Well, eternity is a long time, and it's better to have something tasty to get through it.
So he could flavor his food or munch on the green onion. And there are dates. There are piles of dates here.
Mummified baboons. Scientists studied ancient mummified baboons in Egypt to find out where they came from. By analyzing their DNA, they discovered the baboons likely came from a region near Eritrea, where the ancient port of Adulis was located. Historians believe Adulis and the legendary land of Punt, both known for luxury goods, might be the same place, just known by different names over time. This research marks the first time scientists have successfully studied ancient DNA from non-human mummies, showing how Egypt's trade included exotic animals and revealing early interactions between humans and wild animals. Mummified scarab beetles. In a rare discovery, archaeologists found mummified scarab beetles in ancient Egyptian tombs. It was a unique find since most mummified remains are usually of humans or larger animals. The scarab beetle is a symbol of protection and rebirth in ancient Egypt and seems to have been carefully preserved. Its preservation shows how significant it was to Egyptian beliefs. This discovery has excited researchers who plan to study the mummified beetles closely to learn why they were honored in this way. New research may reveal more about how Egyptians saw the scarab's role in their culture and beliefs. Whale fossils. The Sahara Desert used to be an ocean called the Tay Sea, which was home to many marine creatures. Fossils like oyster shells and shark teeth were discovered from this area, which shows that it was once underwater. In the 1800s, scientists found whale bones and thought they were giant sea serpents. They named them Basilosaurus.
Basilosaurus has actually very few teeth compared to modern toothed whale.
These ancient whales had unique teeth and long, snake-like bodies, but still had small back legs. These tiny legs likely helped them during mating. These were almost 18 meters long, which made them one of the largest animals on Earth at that time. This shows the ocean's past in the desert today.
These are the back legs of Basilosaurus. You hear the pelvis, the femur, the kneecap, the lower leg, and the foot, which even has little toes on it.
Oldest tattoo in world. The tattoos on the Gebeline mummies, particularly Gebeline man and a female mummy, known as Gebeline woman, are among the oldest known examples of tattooing in the world. These tattoos date back to approximately 3,351 to 3017 BCE, making them over 5,000 years old. Gebeline man A's tattoos consist of a dark, blackish blue depiction of a bull and a Barbary sheep on his upper arm. These animals might have symbolized power, virility, or protection. On the other hand, Gebeline woman has a different type of tattoo, with a series of S-shaped and linear patterns on her shoulder and arm. These tattoos may have had symbolic, religious, or magical significance, potentially related to fertility or protection. These ancient mummies prove the practice of tattooing is older than we think. Man E. This mummy was a mix of prince and pauper, which was discovered in a royal burial cache near Deir el-Bahri in 1881, inside a plain, undecorated coffin that offered no clues as to identity. Strangely, the mummy was wrapped in a sheepskin, an item ritually unclean to ancient Egyptians. The hands and feet were bound with linen strips. The man had not been subjected to traditional mummification. Theories over the years, many have tried to speculate the identity of the mummy. Many believe that it was a prince who married the widow of Tutankhamun, which is why he is buried in a disrespectful way. But all of this is just speculation. The identity is still unknown. Mummy of Ramses III. Ramses III was the last significant king of Egypt's new kingdom, ruling during the 20th dynasty and making a considerable impact on his subjects. His mummy was discovered in 1886, which led to an extensive investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death and reign. A CT scan provided the reasons behind his departure from the world. This event underscores the political instability and economic decline that characterized his rule. The study of Ramses III's mummy provides invaluable historical insights into ancient Egypt, revealing information that traditional records could not convey. Tombs of boats. In ancient Egypt, even boats had their own tombs. Don't believe me? Here, take a look. Ancient Egyptians buried boats as part of their burial traditions. Boats were important for travel and trade, so they believed that having a boat in the afterlife would be helpful. Archaeologists have found many boat tombs in Egypt, which shows how these vessels were honored. These burial sites highlight the connection between boats and the journey to the afterlife, showing how much the Egyptians valued their beliefs and customs. Overall, it reveals a fascinating aspect of ancient Egyptian culture and their views on life after death. Ebers Papyrus. This papyrus was discovered in 2013 from the mountain opening of Wadi al-Jarf port. The Ebers Papyrus is an ancient Egyptian medical text created around 1550 BC. It is one of the oldest medical documents and contains herbal knowledge. The scroll is about 20 meters long and has 110 pages. It was bought in Luxor in the 1870s by Gag Ebers and is now kept at the University of Leipzig in Germany. The papyrus was likely copied from earlier writings and is written in hieratic Egyptian. It provides a detailed look at ancient Egyptian medicine and is one of the most important medical texts from that time. Golden City.
We believe that this golden lost city is the most important discovery after the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun. I call it golden because it was found in the golden age of Egypt.
Once known, the City of Gold is now known as the Lost Golden City because it is in ruins and under the sand of Luxor, Egypt. This footage shows a labyrinth of streets and buildings built with ancient bricks. Archaeologists found various artifacts, including colored pottery, scarab amulets, and rings. This 3,000-year-old city is not a mystery anymore, but it's fascinating to think about their lifestyle and the art they used to create in ancient times. Rosetta Stone.
The Rosetta Stone, for me, is a symbol of Western colonialism over my culture. It represents a spoil of war, it represents cultural violence.
The Rosetta Stone is a stele of granodiorite. It was nearly 4 feet tall, just over 2.5 feet wide, and 11 inches thick, and was found in Egypt. Until the 19th century, it was considered nothing but a slab of stone. When linguistics jumped in, they discovered that it wasn't an ordinary ancient stone. It had 3 different types of writings on it. The top and middle text are ancient Egyptian using hieroglyphics and demotic scripts, while the bottom is ancient Greek. The decree has only minor differences across the 3 versions, making the Rosetta Stone key to deciphering the Egyptian scripts. Mummification workshops. In Egypt, archaeologists have made an exciting discovery in the Saqqara necropolis. They found ancient mummification workshops where both people and animals were turned into mummies over 2,000 years ago. Along with these workshops, they also discovered small tombs that are even older, dating back 3,400 and 4,400 years. This find helps us learn more about how ancient Egyptians prepared their dead for the afterlife. The discovery is important because it gives us new information about their burial practices and the importance of the Saqqara area in Egypt's history. Pyramid Builders Village. A bunch of tourists were exploring the workers' village on the Giza Plateau, which they thought to be where the builders of the Great Pyramid lived, about 4,500 years ago. However, there is little evidence to support this claim, and the village's houses are not well built compared to the Great Pyramid. The pyramids were likely constructed by an advanced civilization over 12,000 years ago, and their names were assigned later. Although some claim that this place is not in its original form, it was rebuilt. Tomb of Seti. Dr. Zahi Hawass talks about the tomb of Seti I, which was one of the largest and most beautiful tombs in the Valley of the Kings. It was discovered in 1817. It has a long tunnel that was partly excavated but explored incorrectly. Hawass decided to excavate it safely by using wood and iron supports to prevent it from collapsing. They restored 90 meters of the tunnel and found interesting items like small statues and pottery from Seti I's time. It was a deep underground tunnel with a bright-colored ceiling that showed the night sky and the journey to the afterlife. The tunnel might symbolize connections to Osiris, and the work aims to uncover more about the tomb's secrets while preserving its history. Solar Boat of Kufu. Boats are about 10,000 years old, but building something like the Kufu ship in ancient times is quite astonishing. This ancient Egyptian ship is as old as the preserved mummies in Egypt, and it's still one of the best preserved boats. It was discovered in 1954 in a sealed pit next to the Great Pyramid of Kufu. When the ship was found, it was in pieces, but it was reassembled for research and display purposes. It is made of Lebanon cedar wood and measures up to 43.3 meters. Well, technically, it was built for ceremonial purposes only. Ancient Egyptians used to carry the resurrected king across the heavens with the father of all Egyptian gods, Ra. The Osiris Shaft. Brian Forster explores the Osiris Shaft in Egypt, which has just opened to small groups after being closed for many years. There were different levels of the shaft, where mysterious stone boxes contained strange organic material, making it look like it was destroyed. There were very heavy boxes that were made of stone not found in Egypt, indicating they might be over 12,000 years old. The Osiris Shaft is a deep underground structure that might be older than the pyramids. At its bottom, there's a granite sarcophagus surrounded by a water-filled canal. Inside the sarcophagi, there are high radiation levels that could help preserve mummies. Now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. Archaeologists have been on a quest to find the tomb of a queen known for her stunning beauty, but their efforts remain fruitless. Opinions about her appearance have varied for centuries. Some depict her as the prettiest woman on earth, with a chiseled jaw and a thin nose, captivating many with her looks, while others argue she was an ordinary woman, describing her as chubby with a rounder face, not fitting contemporary beauty standards. It's important to remember that perceptions of beauty change over time, which makes it difficult to judge her looks by 21st century standards. So, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.